Hello, my name is Patrick Fuller. I am a PhD student in Human Factors Engineering at Clemson University. Lockheed Martin was looking to expand their production facilities, or excuse me, their storage facilities, and they wanted data-driven strategies for planning, storage, and kitting. And essentially, our part of this project was first documenting their current process by taking a look at their information and material flow between buildings. And then after that, using that information along with as much information as we could gather about their different parts and their layout of their current facilities to offer these data-driven strategies. What I ultimately learned from working with the team environment mostly came from PJ, Kelsey, and Daniel from Lockheed Martin, who were super integral to this project. They really taught me what it means to work in industry and collaborate across different disciplines. And also working with Joshua from Fraunhofer, who gave me different insights on what it looks like to use digital toolkit assessments and work across disciplines once again. I feel like these people really helped me prepare for more collaborative work that I'll have future on down the road with my PhD work because I'll also be working in collaborative environments in the industry there as well. So what comes next for me? Well, first off, I'm getting a PhD, so I'm going to be at Clemson for 3 or 4 more years. This time, I'm kind of pivoting away from supply chain and working on research and robotic surgery. But from this project, I really had a lot of fun with the supply chain aspect. I'm hoping to kind of incorporate that into my research for robotic surgery, maybe looking at how they should set up different operating rooms and maybe the possibility of having flow racks inside of the operating room and more of the material handling aspect of robotic surgery adoption in different hospital health systems. So from working on this project, ultimately, I think there are a lot of implications for South Carolina. The first thing that stood out to me working on this project was that the industries that are currently here are very invested in the economy of South Carolina, are looking to expand and kind of improve the competitiveness of the South Carolina economy. For example, this project largely what it was doing was opening up the opportunity for more jobs. They're expanding their facilities to produce more, and I thought that was very interesting. So I have a lot of advice I would offer. The first thing is that I actually got into this opportunity by reaching out to my professors at Clemson looking for research. So never be afraid to look for opportunities like this, even if you don't have a lot of experience, because ultimately what you're doing is applying your coursework. And it's not like an exam or anything. You can go back and look at your material. So you don't have to be extremely knowledgeable in a particular field when you look for research. And the other thing is, don't be disheartened when you see that the coursework isn't a one-to-one application to the actual industry work. For example, you'll probably learn a lot about like SKUs and forward and reserve picking areas that have very strict equations that you use and heuristics. And maybe in the real world, you won't have demand for like 100 or so parts. And really, when you come to a scenario like that, all you need to do is make reasonable assumptions, document it for transparency, and then be creative with it. Maybe you can get that demand by looking at your bill of materials and comparing it with your production schedule, and then getting information for quarterly demand for that particular part. Really, just get out there and try to get a research opportunity if it's something you're interested in, and don't be disheartened whenever things don't go exactly perfectly that in the way that you planned, essentially. Yeah, I didn't really have like a very grand story about, oh, I've always wanted to be an industrial engineer. Really, I was pretty aimless until like high school where I just was like, okay, I should probably be like an engineer or doctor or something. And then I literally took pages out of the career board or the college board book for engineers and just threw a dart at it. And I got civil engineering. And I was like, okay, my personality is to be a civil engineer now. And then I realized that there was no way I was going to be a civil engineer when I got in college and took statics. So I switched over to industrial engineering because I heard that it was more widely applicable, and I also wouldn't have to take statics and dynamics, which was a major influencer point for that. And as I was going through industrial engineering, that's where I learned from my professors about different opportunities like supply chain, what that looks like. I thought that was super awesome. So I immediately started doing co-ops at companies like Borg Warner to work in their production control and logistics. And then a little bit down the road, I learned about human factors. And I thought that was super awesome because this field was relatively new. And it's a lot more about the people that are working and kind of improving their lives, which is essentially just another side of the same coin for production control. Like, for example, material handling, one of their components is ergonomics for the worker. And that's essentially what human factors was. And that's pretty much what motivates me where I am right now. As for why I chose Clemson, it's also not that grand. I really was like, okay, I'm going to do engineering. What is the best engineering school in the state? And I landed on on Clemson. I don't watch football or sports or anything, so there was no other motives other than that. I just wanted to go to a really good school for engineering, and I heard about the opportunities here. Well, I guess one thing that I also wanted to discuss or say was a huge thanks to PJ, Kelsey, and Daniel at Lockheed Martin. They were integral to getting this project done. Even though they had a massive workload, they were able to respond to our emails asking for obscene amounts of information on parts that they probably didn't have that they would have to go out and get. And without them, this project would not have been possible. And a huge shout out to Joshua from Fraunhofer for handling that digital toolkit assessment part because I would have had no idea how to handle that at all. I needed some really cool things with RFID tracking.